What's going on, Brookie Nation? It's episode 29.
Hey.
How is everyone doing? Welcome to Storybook Circus. Here we are. Hello, my name is Mackee.
Once Upon a Time podcast.
It is a Once Upon a Time podcast. Who are you, mystery voice?
Hi, my name's Isla.
You are indeed Isla, and we are your co-hosts for your Once Upon a Time adventure. If you enjoyed the ABC television show from 10 years ago of Once Upon a Time, then you came to the right place. And if you didn't, feel free to listen anyway, but you're probably not going to like it that much.
Yeah, if you didn't like it, maybe we'll change your opinion.
Or maybe we'll change your opinion.
Keep listening.
Yeah, but or maybe you'll just think we're funny, and who cares about the TV show? We'll take that too.
Exactly.
Totally fine. But we are going to watch every single episode. That is our mission. One episode at a time, every single season, and we are rating them, and we're actually listening to them on the air, and we're talking about them and talking about behind the scenes stuff. So we're kind of doing a little bit of a deep dive, I would say. I feel like we can now say that now that we've had multiple 4-hour episodes of this podcast.
Oh yeah, yeah. We're not skimping on anything, believe me.
Yeah. We do have our YouTube playing or recording rather, the pre-show section until we get to the watch party. So hello, YouTube brookies as well.
Hey.
We also have a little bit of an update on the Patreon. We've had back-to-back vacations and crazy times with work. And we'll talk about that in a little bit, but we are now getting back into our regular routine, which means that some of the stuff that we kind of fell a little bit behind on, we are now catching up with. So we actually are within the next 2 days going to complete the Hamilton episode, which is very, very exciting. So if you're into Hamilton and you have not already gone over to patreon.com/the SBC pod, then now's a great time. At the time of the release of this episode, I think, which is tomorrow, it'll be just right on the heels of this episode coming out. So you still have some time to get over there and check out the Hamilton episodes. That'll be really fun to join the Brookie Movie Club tier. We have some more exciting movies to come after Hamilton, but before we get to the other movies, we're gonna swing back around to our Lost podcast called Hatching Up with Lost, where we do the same thing that we're doing with Once Upon a Time, but we're going to do it with the Lost TV show. We've already done episode 1, but now we got to swing around and start doing the rest of the episodes in season 1 so we can get into the good stuff, which is all in like season 2 and 3, I think, personally. Which is very exciting.
I feel that way about every show. Season 1 is,
I don't know. Season 1 of Once Upon a Time.
They're working on it. Once Upon a Time, though, I think we've already talked about this, where we were like, this is honestly a very incredible season.
Yeah, I still think season 2 is better, but it was this one of the strongest season 1s I think I've felt in a long time, despite a few.
You know what I really love now? A limited series on Netflix. I know other streaming platforms are doing them, but I just love a good limited series now because they have to get it all in there.
Yeah.
And like my perfect example of this is Grey's Anatomy. The show should have ended a really long time ago. We're on season like 18 or something absolutely ridiculous, and it's just like not there anymore.
Right.
I'm over it, and I was a diehard Grey's fan, and I'm still watching it because I feel committed to it. Mm-hmm. So with a limited series, you fall in love with it and you really want more, but you're not gonna like The Queen's Gambit. Did you watch the Queen's Gambit?
I never got around to it. I know you were like demanding that I watch it over the summer. Phenomenal. I never got to it. I need to get back to it.
Now limited series are actually getting more seasons, like Sex Life, I think was going to be a limited series, and now they're getting a season 2, which I'm excited about. I'm watching right now Clickbait on Netflix. It's another limited series. Mm-hmm. So good.
Really?
And you can tell there's going to be closure at the end because you're trying to find out the big thing.
Yeah.
So I like them like that.
That's great.
They're like not season 1s. They're whole series in one season.
That's how I felt about the Disney Plus ones, like particularly WandaVision. Like it feels like one long movie instead of
maybe that's why, because it feels just like a giant movie. I don't even realize when it goes into the next episode.
What's funny is, and I by no means mean to out my wife here, but we do this in our house. Like when we watch movies, we watch like 40 minutes at a time. And every single person I've ever described this to is like, I would literally kill myself if that's how I watched movies. And I'm like, it really doesn't bother me. And I think it's because, you know, I actually, if I really break it down, I think it's because the type of anxiety and neurosis that I have in my brain has to do with decision remorse. So having that movie be the right one that we picked to watch, only going through a little bit of it at a time means that I can't ever be wrong, because we just watch a little bit and it, like, literally, okay, I'll tell you what happened. Something came up with Jesse Eisenberg recently, and I don't remember what it was or why. But it reminded us, like, hey, let's put on The Social Network again. We haven't watched it in a while. We got to the first like 3 or 4 scenes, and then we stopped for whatever reason. She had work to do or whatever. It was like during dinner, right? And I then decided the next time, I was like, actually, I don't want to watch The Social Network. What I want to see is Now You See Me, because that would be a more fun Jesse Eisenberg movie to watch. So we just didn't keep watching it. And the next time we sat for dinner, we started a whole ass new movie. Like, that's how it goes down in this house, because we kind of jump around a lot. So series like that, like a WandaVision or a Winter Soldier or stuff like that, is, to me, I'm like, I already, like, this is how I consume my movies. It's just like in, you know, these sections where like you hit that cliffhanger at the end of the episode and you're like, all right, I'll just wait until next time, and then we keep going. So I'm already so programmed with that for movies in general that when that new format came around, I was like, I totally was on board. I was totally fine. And then you can stop in between the episodes and like go on YouTube and find people who are doing theories and whatever. And you know what I mean? Like, so it actually was quite a nice experience for that new style.
I can get on board with that, because I hate watching a movie or a TV show or eating something and it not being what I wanted it to be. Yeah. And then I feel like I wasted my time or I wasted my money.
Oh my God.
If I watch a movie that everyone is like obsessed with, and then I watch it and I'm like, I can't get those 2 hours back.
You know what's funny?
And then I'm like, it's 2 hours. It's not that bad.
It's not that bad. Yeah.
I could have been doing something else.
Right. What's funny is this whole like movie theater release debacle with, you know, the pandemic and how movies are being released, and the fact that, you know, HBO Max jumped on board right away with being able to release movies at home, right? And then Disney Plus, obviously, we're like, yeah, but you have to pay us extra. And we're like, of course we do, Disney, shut up. But with HBO Max, you're already paying for the subscription. So like Wonder Woman came out, the new Godzilla movie came out, right?
Right.
So the freedom to be able to, you know, lead up to the movie, like, I already hated Wonder Woman, thought it was awful. And I was like, all right. And then I then went, okay, well then I'm going to really go back and give it its due, you know, due diligence, and rewatch the original, so I get a little bit more, you know. So I'm like prepping for this, and then I sit in my own house and I watched it because no one else cared. I was watching it by myself. I was watching it like during my lunch break, and then I like came back and watching it like that made it feel, I guess, more like a TV show. So to me, I was like, I loved this. This was great, but I also didn't have to commit and waste 2 hours straight, because I'm not a normal person that would dedicate a whole night to it. So I can understand why people would be angry, but like, I just removed that by taking the pressure away. And that just makes it so, like, we did that with Maleficent. I don't think we ever still to this day finished Beauty and the Beast, the live action Beauty and the Beast. I know that's treason for you.
I saw it 4 times in the theater.
And if I had seen
it's so embarrassing.
If I had seen it in the theater, I feel like I would have liked it even more. But right now, I
was also pregnant and emotional, and I just really loved the ending where they fell in love and danced with everyone, and I was like, this is beautiful.
I think Jungle Book is another one we never
see it 4 times. Never seen the Jungle Book.
Followed through all that, but we
live action. I've obviously seen the cartoon. I'm not uncultured. God.
I think we just like don't have a problem not committing to the end of movies like that, because they're just, unless they're like really, really captivating.
And like, we all know the ending to the Jungle Book. We all know the ending to Beauty and the Beast. It's not like we're missing out, like spoiling the end of like a Marvel movie.
Yeah. Something like that we will watch. And that's funny, because the Marvel movies, we typically don't do that to, especially on like a first watch. Whereas there's some other movies that were like, yeah, whatever. Like, oh, what? Everybody was freaking out about Zack Snyder's version of Justice League, like the director's cut. And then we watched it, and I'm like, it doesn't have the same hold on me as the Marvel movies do. So I was just like,
yeah.
And I have the really bad habit of watching it all the way through until the very, very end, and then the last couple scenes, I'm like, I don't give a shit, and I just don't watch the end, just the ending. It's just like so mortifying.
I don't care about the whole like platform streaming service movie theater thing because I still think that there are certain movies that I can only watch for the first time in a movie theater.
I will.
So like I will commit to that and go to the movie theater. But then there are other movies where what was like the movies that have been coming out on Disney, like Raya. You know, like we bought premiere access for that because I love a good Disney princess movie.
Right. Which is
And I
great.
have a toddler.
Worth it. I think.
But I don't know if I would have gone to the theater to watch that opening weekend. But we got it opening night on the premiere access date. I don't mind paying the $30 for that. Jungle Cruise, I really wanted to see in a movie theater. I haven't watched it yet because I wanted to go to the movies and watch it. It seemed like something that would be
it when you were here.
I know, that would have been fun.
I'm always nervous to like take up people's vacation time, like sitting for 2 hours in a movie theater when you can do that at home.
I've really wanted to go to like the Disney Springs like AMC theater. I've really wanted to watch a movie there, which sounds stupid because it's like it's just a movie theater.
We should have made
that
happen.
But I feel like it would be more fun.
Yeah, I love.
I want to do like a Disney premiere weekend like at that movie theater. I feel like that would be really cool.
Yeah, like Cruella or something.
You know, like get dressed up, go to dinner, go to the movie.
It's funny because I was working so much. Like I think for both the premiere of Jungle Cruise and for Cruella, I was playing drums at Splitsville right across the walkway both nights.
When it came out,
or at least the same week that it came out. So like there was a red carpet setup because our entertainment team, shout out to my entertainment team, what's up? They always like deck the whole front of AMC out and they put lights and stuff on it and a step and repeat and red carpet and whole nine. And for both times that those were open, I was there like watching people come in costume and take pictures. I think it was a Black Widow also because I have some friends who like go hardcore cosplay on that and took some pictures there. So yeah, it is a good time. It feels like a New York premiere, and I've been to those New York premieres in those big theaters where there's like a whole bunch of stuff going on, and it has the same like Union Square, Times Square theater feel there because
like I will never forget all of my midnight premieres of Harry Potter.
Oh yeah,
all of them. I hold them so dear to my heart. Twilight, I did the same thing. Not as like heartfelt, but like still important to me as a person of who I am, my identity.
So excited to do Twilight on our movie club. You have no idea. I've multiple times in the last month, I almost just threw it on in the background while I was working, and I was like, no, I want the first reaction to be on the
I have
show.
put on Twilight. Thank you, Netflix. I don't know who finally pushed the renaissance, of Twilight coming back. Really here for it, but I'm really thankful because I love being able to just that calm blue light of the first movie. How they shot that whole movie in that weird lighting.
Yeah, I feel you.
They have like keychains that you can get that tint that are like that tinted blue, so you can hold things up and just see things through the Twilight
as
perspective.
A vampire.
Yeah, I love it. So
That's
calming.
Great. I love it. So that is our diatribe about nothing you get in the beginning of every episode. We're not even done. So welcome to Storybook Circus. We spend an hour and a half not talking about the show before we talk about the show. So get used to it.
It's the pre-show to the pre-show to the actual
Technically
pre-show.
To the pre-show, yeah. Because we have some other things to talk about, which is Isla's got just all sorts of great things happening to her. The first of which is you, as of yesterday, started the first day of your new job. Yay!
It's an employed girl fall over here, y'all.
So first of all, on behalf of everyone who's listening, we are so proud of you. I was so touched to see people like hit you up on Instagram stories and people in the Discord were like, oh my God, Isla, it's your first day. First day of work is not in real life for adults, not really that exciting. It's just a kind of a thing you have to do. But
I made it exciting because
and the listeners did too.
Everything.
The listeners did too. They totally jumped on board and were like, they treated it like it was your first vacation. It was the energy I'm saying was palpable.
It was first day of school vibes.
First day of school vibes. That's what we said. So how was your first day?
You pick out a new outfit. You get yourself ready.
Yeah.
It was good. I'm excited. It's weird because I'm a full-time remote employee now. I've never had a first day anywhere where it wasn't going like school, work, anything. You always go to that awkward HR orientation.
Yeah,
and,
yeah.
You get your random swag that you throw in the garbage on the way out. Like, weird. So it was interesting because I was kind of by myself. You're not shaking hands with every Tom, Dick, and Larry that you see passing by. I loved that. And I just like electronically signed all my HR paperwork, direct deposit, blah, 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 blah. And now I'm just so I have to get a new license, which is great. Not a driver's license. I hate driving.
To be clear.
So that's basically it. Like, it wasn't like, oh my God, this was the best day of my life, but it was at the same time because it finally means that I got out of the toxic situation that I was in for 2 years, and like nobody can tell me shit now. I'm like, yes, that dark cloud gone. Decimated, out of my life forever.
That energy. We love a good dark cloud banishment, right?
Yeah.
When things turn around like that, there's no better feeling than just like, being able to get rid of something that was weighing you down in any way, emotionally, physically, financially, whatever. Just if you're not feeling like you're in a good place, and it's something you can actually, because not everything can be removed, right?
Right.
And so something
and
that
like,
you
let's
actually
be real, the bar was on the ground.
I mean,
so...
right. You could have been bagging groceries and you would have had a better time. But the fact that you're also doing something familiar. You're doing something you're comfortable with, which also is already going to give you that sense of like, calm, because you don't have to like learn a whole brand new thing,
So I'm not panicking. So like when I started my last job, it was the first time that I was ever in that field, and I was like, I'm going to get fired because I don't know what I'm doing, and this feels like it's important work.
Right, yeah.
Not like life-changing, but you know what I mean? Like numbers, money, stuff like that. I was like, I hate this.
There's a risk factor still.
Yeah, but now I'm like, oh, like I'm doing all of my studying. And I'm like, all right, I know that. I know these words. I know this definition. I know this dollar amount. I'm good.
It's almost like you said, first day of school. It's not first day at a new school. This is first day of your senior year. You know what I mean? It's you,
the
like,
first day of, yes.
Like you're comfortable. You know what's going on. You understand the rules.
I will never forget my first day of senior year.
Oh, me either. I will never forget every day of my senior year. It was freaking fantastic. I started out awful and
forget a lot of my senior year, but my first day, I was one of those people that gave a shit about what everyone thought about me all of the time. Like, that was who I was, and I hate that. I wasted so much time being like that. But my senior year, I finally was. I just, like, my high school boyfriend cheated on me like 3 days before. I found out, like, it was terrible. But then I was like, you know what? I have nothing to lose now. Like, I am again. The bar was on the literal ground, and I was like, I'm a senior. Yeah, like, this is in a small town, so that's a huge deal. Like, to be a senior in a small town.
But that's still empowering.
I got a Hello Kitty backpack.
Okay.
And I don't mean like it was just like, oh, like Hello Kitty's
branded, right.
Her head.
It was her whole head.
It was her whole head. Like, it had ears.
Right.
And like the bow was sticking out of it. I named her Martha.
Oh my God.
That was my identity. I was like, I don't give a shit about any of these loser
freshmen,
sophomores, and juniors that would think that this is stupid. I'm cool.
That's got real Squishmallow vibes. However, that many years ago, not tremendously long ago, but I feel like it was more appropriate back then. It was more edgy back then than it is now.
Yeah, because I got it at like Hot Topic.
Yeah,
like,
of course, where you get all the cool stuff. Yeah. I love that despite the gap in our age, that the attitude about which we raised ourselves, when we were going through those awkward parts of the teenage years, we did this exactly the same. Even though we did it at a different cultural time, we still somehow did it so similar.
Right.
Which is really refreshing.
Oh my God,
I don't feel so old around you.
I left high school almost 10 years ago.
I don't want to talk about it.
That feels like so long. And then
I don't want to talk about it. Because don't make fun of me that you can't see, but that I'm pulling out a calculator because I can't do first grade math to see how long ago this was. It was 16 years ago. I want to die. Okay, let's pretend like that didn't happen.
Drive a car in that amount of time.
Yeah, that's a full ass teenager. Like, I could have had a kid at my senior year of high school, and
your kid would be in high school.
Yep.
I don't like that.
Yeah,
I hate that.
And frankly, I have friends who have kids in high school right now who had kids like either right out of high school or in their senior year. the straggler few who like, you know what I mean? Like, it wasn't a ton, but it was. I also have some friends in my graduating class that are now married to teachers that we shared. Now, not then, obviously. It was not a scandal in any way. And it was like a super young guy who was like in his early 20s, like 22, and we were 18 or whatever. You know what I mean? It was something like that. But
touchy subject for where I went to high school because so many of our teachers were not doing the right thing ever.
I mean, it really wasn't any kind of scandal, but in my head, I'm still like, you were my teacher and also her teacher. And then like, and years after they graduated, like it really wasn't even anything, but
like
in
they
my
didn't meet
head,
at school, quote unquote, like their meet cute wasn't English class. Like, you know what I mean?
Right,
like it was.
Right, exactly. Yeah.
But
still, in my head, I'm just like the way I interacted with the two of you was like you were my age and you were the teacher who yelled at me all the time. That was weird. Like,
you know what I hate? I hate seeing teachers and they tell you that you can call them by their first name, and I'm like, we don't have to do that.
Oh, sorry.
I think
that was my whole school. That was like our jazz all of the arts people, right? So our director on stage, we've almost never called him by his last name, which is funny because the two graduating classes after us that stopped, they never called him by his first name. They called him by his last name only. Never Mr., just his last name as a name. And we all like the years come a few years before us, they treated it like college. You know what I mean? Like that's how they structured it. So the theater program, the music program, the art program, all of those like little extracurricular non-main core things were all very casual, and because we were like the top award-winning school in the whole basically like city, right? So like when we would go like bring football championships, all of our music stuff, we always got the very, very top tier awards. Like we were everything because our school was freaking huge, so there was a lot of talented kids there. So we brought them a lot of money. So they were like, you can call us whatever the fuck you want. You keep bringing in grants, you keep winning us stuff, I don't care.
My gosh.
Yeah, it was a big deal. Like
I still call my friends' parents by their last names.
But that's funny that you say that because I do that with the parents though. Like the only exception
I'll be like,
is my
oh my gosh,
friend.
Mr. Smith, how has it been? And then I'm like, we're old now. Like I could probably call you Matthew.
Yeah,
but
absolutely.
I'm
100%.
still calling you Mr. Smith. Like
my best friend, because his parents like took us into their home, so we were in there all the time. They're the only ones that I call because they insisted.
Oh yes,
their first name.
Like actual best friends, I will call their parents by their first
Everybody
name.
else, Mr. and Mrs. Absolutely.
I have this one friend from middle school and high school, and her parents got divorced. So I avoid
Just names at all.
I love her mom. We're friends on Facebook. We talk, but I literally avoid saying her name.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, do I call you,
what do I call you?
Mrs. Doe? Or do I call you, I don't even know what your maiden name is because you were married the entire time I ever knew you. But I can't call you by your first name. That makes me uncomfortable.
Well, you could be my ex-wife and just not change your name because it's too hard. All right. Anyway, so in addition to your new job, your first day of your new job, first day of senior year school vibes, you also got to have your last few days of summer vibes because you were just here in Florida, which you get another set of air horns for. The coolest vacation ever.
I literally cannot even describe how perfect the last week was.
So tell us all about your trip. Tell us as many details as you want. Leave nothing out or leave whatever out you want because your privacy is important. But like,
full
tell us your favorite things.
Let's like give a real run. I hate when people are like, oh my God, the most magical, like blah, blah, blah. First day was kind of rough because it was a travel day and it was a 6 a.m. flight. Yeah. So we had to leave our house by 3 a.m.
And you were talking to me pretty late. You got to sleep pretty late the night before.
Yeah. It was not good. So I felt bad because Harper did not sleep in the car the whole way to the airport, which is an hour-long car ride, because she was so excited. So she was up from like 3 to 4 a.m. and she's like, Disney. She's like eating chocolate munchkins in the airport,
the day before
and like
Christmas.
she's so excited, and I was like, you're gonna crash.
Yeah,
I know you're gonna crash, and I feel bad. Like I'm like, she did fall asleep on the plane, thankfully, but when we got there, thankfully everything was super car rental seamless. Getting off the plane, we got in early, luggage, blah blah blah. Our room was not ready when we got to the hotel. and that's normal and fine because we got in so early.
Mm-hmm.
But it sucks to not have like a home base right when you get to your vacation, if that makes any sense.
course,
Like we
yeah,
didn't have somewhere to
absolutely.
like go in, change, spread out for a minute.
Right.
So we tried to like go into a park. We went into Magic Kingdom and Harper was just like not in the mood.
Not
Like
having it, yeah.
she was
Travel days
crying.
are
I
hard.
felt terrible. Travel days are so hard. So we are now pivoting and changing our strategy for all of our trips moving forward with Harper because that makes sense for all of us. I want
I
her
think
to
it's
be
good
comfortable.
for you too, like
Yeah, it takes stress off of me and Bart.
yeah.
It takes stress off of Harper because she is a little 3-year-old and there's so much stuff going on inside of her body that she like needs a minute to.
I mean, I do that with our vacations. I'm like, Taryn,
I do that too
don't
on
book
travel
up
days.
things right when we did them in Vegas. We got there early and she's like trying to do all these things. I'm like, I am going to die. Like we need a chance to like, go sit in the pool,
same
like
way.
relax.
So we pivoted and we changed and we left. We did not do anything. We went into Magic Kingdom and just went back because I got a text that was like, our room's ready. And we were staying at the Contemporary, which if you are familiar with Disney, you get to walk to Magic Kingdom from the Contemporary, which is
that the Californian? Is that the
ever.
equivalent in Disneyland? Is that the one that's closest
Yes.
to Grand Californian?
Yeah. So the Grand Californian is in walking distance to both parks in Disneyland, which is the coolest thing ever.
Right.
But the Contemporary Bay Lake, we stayed in the DVC building. It was, oh my gosh, I wish I could afford to stay there every single trip because the lobby smells so nice. The rooms are so nice. We had a beautiful view in our room. But that first night we got to do our firework cruise.
Yes, which I got to participate in. I was there for that. That part was freaking awesome.
That was one of the coolest experiences I've ever done in my entire life.
I have lived here 6 years. I have never done that. In fact, I had never gone on those boats at all. And so to be able to do that like that was incredible. It was so fun.
Like to be this is the first fireworks show that we've seen since the closure of everything.
Yeah, like right
since COVID. And to be able to watch it not in a crowd of people and like with people that we actually give a shit about.
Yeah, 100%.
So cool. And then the rest of the trip was just so like there was no bad day. There was no bad times. You know what I mean? Like
we did get rained on real bad that one time.
That was a bad time. I take back what I just said. I'm looking through rose-colored glasses. That was terrible.
That was a bad couple minutes. It wasn't that bad. It was, and honestly, I think we took it on the chin pretty well. So to set this up, Florida rains all the time and whatever, and it's not really that big of a deal, but it rained
an hour before for like 10 minutes and it was like a nice little like sprinkle.
Yeah, usually it like
cooling me down,
changes the humidity. Sometimes it gets breezy. Well, we at this particular point just picked up a couple bites to eat, a couple of drinks from Baseline, and we were like,
couple bites. It was a giant pretzel.
Yeah, and a charcuterie board. And we were like, we inside, and no real big deal. It's not really super crowded inside. There weren't like a ton of like seats and tables, but there was a bar on the side that we could have just like posted up on. But they've got the stroller and Harper in it, and we're like, well, it's easier to just like go and spread out outside where we could sit down under an umbrella and enjoy the fresh air. And as we're walking out, the bartenders are like, oh, it looks like it's going to rain again. And this is conversation you hear in Florida all the time. It's not that suspicious. And he was like, oh yeah, it rained earlier. And I guess it's supposed to be raining like later on. We go outside and this is not like, oh, storm is coming. Nothing was going on. It was sunny. It was beautiful. We sit down and then it starts to sprinkle and we're like, that's fine. We're under an umbrella, but these are like patio cloth umbrellas, right? We're like, oh, that's fine.
They're oddly shaped.
They're really weird. They have these like weird
umbrella
buckets.
Shaped. It's terrible.
It's like they're like wooden umbrellas, right? So the cloth in between the spokes like dips down.
Did we also mention Taryn left?
Oh yeah, Taryn also was like, oh, well, while you do this, I'm going to go over to the backlot, whatever, Express, and go pick up a dessert.
Cookie.
Yeah, I want to go pick up a brookie cookie and then, or a Wookie cookie.
A
brookie cookie would be an amazing treat.
Cool.
Can someone please bake that? Brookie cookie. There's your assignment. So she's like, I'm just going to go get that and come back. So we sit down, it starts raining. She then calls me as the rain is starting to get like heavier and heavier. And we're like, we're under an umbrella, we're fine. And she's like, oh, so I got a whole thing of food and drinks and all this other stuff. And I'm like, what? Why did you wait? And she's like,
as he says, wait, that wasn't the plan. The sky opens.
Oh, God.
Like,
And when I say opens, it was like torrential downpour, and at the
Sideways.
time there wasn't wind yet. And then as I'm talking with her on the phone, it started like going sideways under the umbrella and hitting the table, and then like everything is wet, and we're like, okay, well, we're not gonna come to each other right now. Let's just wait for this to finish. But because we were outside caught under this umbrella, if we moved in any direction, we were going to get soaked. But as we were sitting there and the umbrella got caught with water, the water just dumped out onto behind us as the table, a glossy wooden table, fills up with water. The water just slid off completely into my lap. So now my shorts are soaked. My back is soaked. Bart is now starting to get wet. Isla's whole back is the umbrella's dripping on her, and she's just like eating charcuterie this whole time. And like,
I was in like one of those real hangry moods about 10 minutes before that too, where like the whole group was not moving, and I was like, guys, if I don't eat something within the next 10 minutes,
now
I'm going to bite someone's head off. Like, let's go.
So that was a little
just eating salami, and I'm like, this is fine. And then I'm eating the pretzel, and it's getting wet and soggy. I'm like, this is still fine.
It was somehow still fine though. I would have been
just built a droid, so my poor BB is getting soaked in his little habitat.
Oh my God,
Harper's trying to sleep in the stroller, like.
Yeah, it was an experience, and it's funny because everybody goes, "A rainy day at Disney is better than a sunny day anywhere else." Like, it's not because we were at Disney. I think it's because we were with each other and laughing it off, and like everything changed, and we're like, well, we're just gonna live in this now, and we did, and it really wasn't that uncomfortable.
We did. We didn't move. Bart moved inside with Harper because we did not want her to get wet or the droid to get wet. So he took shelter. Taryn was fine over at Backlot. Literally didn't get a drop of rain on her, bitch. And me and Maggie were just like eating wet pretzel and salami and being like, yeah, it's fine.
It was delicious.
That was really good.
It was like really good. The whole time I was like,
that was like the only damper, literally. On we did Boo Bash, which I still have not come up with a full opinion on it. It was more crowded than I think it should have been. They definitely oversold because of $bucks.
You are not the first person to make that a comment either. I've heard that a lot, actually.
Yeah, that was the only thing that was kind of disappointing. Candy, great. Free, not free. But snacks that you could just go pick up at the cart, great. Bart got like a 12-pack of soda out of that whole night. Harper got to see some characters. You know, she went the trick-or-treating was so cute. She was so excited about the trick-or-treating. Our costumes were great. People thought I was Elsa. I was not. I was Sisu. It's fine.
Your costumes were phenomenal. Did you put a picture up in the Discord? Because if you didn't, you should.
No, I didn't.
You definitely should. Put the picture you put in our group chat in there because it's so good. I saw you working on that costume for weeks, and it came out so awesome.
It was so fun. If it didn't cost so many dollars, I would do it again.
Yeah. Well, and you built your droid like you said before, so that must have been fun. Did Harper kind of pick everything out like you had planned?
So,
how did that work out?
This was Harper's thing. Bart and I really want to do lightsabers at some point, but we think we want to do that on a trip where it's just us two, so we can get them home.
They're also like $14,000, so
yeah, it's ridiculously expensive. So Harper loves Star Wars. She loved Star Wars before we even watched the movies. She's just always been a Star Wars girl. Don't know how or why, but here we are.
Love it.
She's obsessed with everything. Rey is her hero. BB-8 is like her little brother. So we said, you can build one of them. And she said yes. So we let her do everything. She picked out the colors. She picked out the pieces. She actually put it together. She got to hit activate. And now he's home. Now I have another kid.
BB Sikorsky.
Yeah. I found wait, this one's stupid, but I want to talk about it anyway.
No, let's do it.
I am one of the Stony Clover bitches. So I spend stupid amounts of money on travel bags. Whatever. It is what it is.
Everybody's got their thing. I like it. I support it.
I really wanted something from the Princess Collection. What I really wanted was Tiana, but that's fine. I wanted a fanny pack, and they have been sold out everywhere. Like sold out online. Springs, the Emporium, not the Emporium, the one across, whatever, the expensive store. They've all been sold out, and I checked every single day. I would call the stores, and I'd be like, "Hi, do you have this?" Jesse would do the same thing. "Hi, do you have this?" So we're walking down Magic Kingdom. I was there not even 12 hours before, where I went in and I checked and they didn't have them. So I was like, I'm just going to walk in for fun there were 2 fanny packs left.
My God.
One for me and one for Jesse. And I was like,
the victory.
I
cheer
like,
that must
audio
have been in
message.
your head.
I like ripped my phone and I was like, they have 2. Do I want? And she was like, why are you asking me? Yes. And then I like went over to the cast member and I was like, hi, can you grab these 2 things can you grab this for me? And she goes, okay. And then left one of them. And I was like, no, I need both. And, you know, Disney World has this like huge, because the resellers are wild right now. So they put that limit out on
Is it 2?
literally everything, 2 items per almost every single thing in the entire Walt Disney World resort.
Right.
And I got the last 2 and now I have one.
Incredible.
And I love her. She is another baby of mine.
Incredible victory. I love it.
I got to ride Rise.
Oh, yeah, right. What did you think of Rise?
I rode it in April and I loved it. I was like smiling the entire time. And I did that again.
It is.
Bart got group 15.
So, yeah, I saw that. That was better than we did. We did 19 the first day.
He keeps on going. He kept on going, I'll do it. My phone's faster. I'm like, we have the same phone plan. We share a phone plan. I don't think that yours is going to be faster. That doesn't make any sense.
Right.
I got 79 the other day, and we didn't end up riding because it kept on going down. Like we all know.
It was a late day that day. Yeah.
Yeah. So then I let him do it, and he got group 15.
Freaking crushed it, man.
Which I didn't even know numbers went that low. Sometimes.
Me either. I just assumed it was like the first test runs of the
start
day
at
of those.
80,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like
100%. No, that's that. I feel like that sounds like a vacation success story. We got to have dinner with family. We got to hang out. I wanted to hang out with you more, and I'm upset that I didn't, but work was absolutely bonkers insane because we had in case any of you are interested in Disney stuff and 50th anniversary stuff, we have an ABC special that, you know, everybody's been talking about in the blogs. They announced that the ABC special will air on the evening of October 1st. So if you have network cable and you would like to watch this cool Disney special, my team was in part my team was responsible for the production of it, but the ABC team from California came and physically did it. We just kind of facilitated here, but because it was my team, I had to, you know, supervise a bunch of things and content because, you know, we do castle work. So, you know, all of the stuff that has previously been announced, you know, this special was kind of a little nod to everything, right? So everything is involved, and so our team had to get involved, obviously. So it was a lot of unexpected overnights and unexpected, you know, last minute things that somebody need. You know, this is television, that's how it works, and everybody's like, oh well, we forgot we need this thing, and it's a lot of like busy work and coordinating with people. So unfortunately, I thought my week was going to be completely free. Just like
it was up until like a week before we left. You were
up until a few days before
sailing. We got nothing going on.
Like nothing was like all I had to do was just deliver a drive somewhere, and that was my only responsibility. And then it turned into like a bunch of other things. Now everything obviously turned out fine. I'm super excited for everybody to see the special. I was not there when it physically taped, but I was leading up to it. So. Your guess is as good as mine of how it actually turns out. But it as those Disney specials are, they really are always awesome. The Christmas specials,
they're phenomenal.
The Thanksgiving, the parade ones, they're just
I love them.
They feel just cozy. They feel like you want to be there. These things are obviously, this particular one was taped all overnight. So very calm, very serene. But they have some really, really beautiful things planned. So I'm really excited for it. It's
going to be so cool.
But those beautiful things that we do for our job, as with Disney and with television, you have to sacrifice a little part of your life to do that. And unfortunately, I had to sacrifice some of my time to spend with the squad. So I didn't get to hang out quite as much as I was expecting. However, I did hang out often. I was able to get out quite a few times and just like bounce around the parks a little bit and have some dinners and check out the hotel rooms, and Bay Lake was really cool. I'm upset we didn't get out to Wilderness Lodge. I wanted to go check that one out.
We didn't even get to do the pool.
Oh, really? I love that pool too.
When we were going to go do it,
That's
and then it rained.
One. You pooled so much and you didn't do the Wilderness Lodge.
We pooled so much and didn't get to go to the Wilderness Lodge
That's
one.
so funny.
So now Harper's begging to go back, and I'm like, we don't have Wilderness Lodge money, baby girl. Like, this was like, but now we have to because that room was sick. The resort is beautiful. I'm pretty sure that Wilderness Lodge was designed by the same guy that did the Grand Californian, and I love that resort so much. So it just had that like nice like musky campy smell. It was so freaking
woodsy.
Cute.
Love that.
Yeah, it was beautiful.
Well, job well done on a masterfully executed.
Oh, we had a family dinner at Ohana, guys.
Oh yeah, our Ohana dinner. Family dinner.
I got to have Ohana noodles. I had 4 plates. That's kind of all I ate. I don't know why I'm like this, but then I had cold noodles in my hotel room.
They were so good. That peanut sauce, so good. I didn't like the chicken. I liked the steak. I really liked the wings. I did not like the chimichurri chicken. I didn't even try it. It did not look good. The physical chicken it was too tough. Like it just, you know, like the cut.
The steak was good. The teriyaki steak. I thought that was really good.
And the pieces were actually made, they were like skewers, so like cubes.
Yeah.
But
I kind of like that they don't come over and scrape it off.
Yeah. You don't get the like charred
it was good in
pieces.
like a little bowl. Yeah.
Oh, I liked it. I learned from the last time.
We went to Trader Sam's and that was fun.
Oh yeah. For your mug.
I got my little tiki mug. Love
Oh yeah, and we also just like hung out on the patio and just like we watched the fireworks. We ran over to the beach and watched the fireworks and acted a complete fool, which was so. We went home that night and we were like,
no, I'm sorry, we did not. Bart and I did not participate in you guys' tomfoolery that evening.
Oh, I was trying to keep Taryn and Jesse. Just like screaming to each other right next to each other, and Blaze like walked away from the group and started dancing by himself when Tink came out. It was just it was a cacophony of things that were going on.
It was so fun.
We went home. We were like, man, this felt like when we first moved down and we had these big groups of friends that we used to hang out with all the time. When we had time for that. And it felt, we were like, we really miss that. And like COVID displaced so many people. So even some of our friends who we used to hang out all the time, even at Universal, don't even live in the state anymore. Like they've moved. They're gone because they couldn't stay because of work or whatever. So it just brought us back to a simpler time where hanging out was easy, and COVID doesn't necessarily make it easy. And also the COVID fallout of you have to make reservations for everything, and like getting into the park isn't easy, and everything is like stressful now. Like it used to be you just woke up and you just showed up somewhere, and that's
whatever you felt like doing.
Yeah, that's one post-COVID thing that I'm noticing is affecting our ability to like unwind and relax. Even though we live in a tourist town, it is especially stressful and not easy for locals to take advantage of these tourist things because everything is so hard, like regimented. And, you know, yes, we get some deals on, you know, I work for Disney, so I don't have to pay for entry, but like that doesn't make it, just because we're not paying every time we go in, it's still just as stressful as if we did.
That perk is very limited right now. You know what I mean? Extremely. Like it's not what it was.
Yeah. It's not full access anymore. It's just the financial aspect, which like that's only one of 10 things that make that benefit great and chill, you know, after spending 60 plus hours a week working on said things, to not be able to just like roll into studios and just hang out somewhere is, you know, we haven't been able to go into studios for over almost 2 years because of Galaxy's Edge opening, and only finally this last month are they starting to lax up on the reservations and stuff. So you know, we spend a lot of time at Epcot because that's the only one they'll let us in. It's just like a lot of things that we're just like, you know, well, we'll take what we can get, but we do feel that we are absorbing a lot of that tension, you know, and sometimes it ends up venting itself in some weird ways. But this trip, regardless, because we got to spend time with you guys, was absolutely magnificent, and we were bummed the second that we walked away from you the last time because
I don't know what it was about this trip, but it felt so different.
Yeah.
I don't really know. I haven't been able to like figure out, like Bart and I have been trying to figure out like the words for it because it sounds so cheesy when you say it like that. Like I don't have words for this last week, but like
I mean, we've been through a lot together, you know?
It felt so different from what it was in the past. Like we came home. Bart will not care that we have been crying. Like,
of course. Like, I've been bummed. I've been truly, actually bummed that you're not.
Like that, like weird pit of anxiety in your stomach. That's just like. And then we built up this trip for so long. Like we've been counting down. It was Bart's birthday.
It was his birthday trip too.
Yeah, and like I don't know, it just we felt like we were saying goodbye to something that was so much more than like just like a random family vacation,
Right.
and we're sad. But we also left feeling very inspired.
That's great.
And if you
That's really
follow me
great.
on any sort of social media, it is very apparent how different everything has been since I got back, because I feel very differently now about like how I handle my time, how like I don't know, maybe it was I had the whole summer off, so I had a lot of time to like think about myself, what I want, my life.
Right.
But like I know what I want.
Yeah.
My goals are not, which is going to sound terrible, but my goals are not career orientated. They're family orientated and like personal growth goals that
As
I
they should
have
be.
and what I want to
As they should
do.
be. There's
And I
nothing
think that
wrong with
that's way
that.
more important
Absolutely.
than, clout and money and stuff like that. So like I'm excited to like get back into it.
I mean, a vacation is supposed to recharge your batteries. You know, we joked about this when I came back from Vegas, because we all talk the same way when Taryn and I were on vacation, and we kept being like, "Oh my God, we're gonna come home and see you." Like, we don't live where you live, but when we were coming to our home from our vacation, we were like, "Oh my God, it's gonna be so fun to like get back into our routine, even though you don't even live here. Like, we're gonna see you
Right.
again." But like, I feel like we are starting to establish a little bit of a home base in each other, all of us. You know,
Yeah.
that is comforting and comfortable. So when we get to be together, that's what feels good. And so when you get away from that, it feels like, like leaving, like it feels like the opposite of, you're like, if this was home for you guys and you were leaving family for a few months to go do something and then come back, it feels like the opposite of that. It feels uncomfortable when you leave that home base place that rejuvenates you and stuff. But the fact that you go home feeling inspired that's what a vacation's really supposed to do. It's supposed to reinvigorate, relax you and give your brain and your mind and mentality time to recycle so that you can be energized to do the next thing, right? Which in part is partly your job, in part is this podcast and all of its supplementary content, our Hamilton thing. Like, we're so excited now that we've had these 2 vacations. I went to mine and you just came back from yours, and now we're like jazzed and pumped about what we get to output and what we get to do, because it's coming up in the next few months, and we're already we're planning vacations and what's going on in the future and like hanging
There's
out.
just so many cool opportunities that like
Yeah.
it was just very easy to see with my time away from working, my time away from the town that we live in. Like it just felt very refreshing in
Yeah.
a way that a traditional vacation is supposed to feel.
Change is good. And we haven't had even vacations that not just us, people have been taking during COVID. They don't always feel like that same thing. I feel like this, because even our Vegas one felt the same as you. Like, we weren't spending time with like our friends and family as much, but
Yeah, you
it
still
had
have
that feeling
time.
of like a little bit more comfortable. And we went to Vegas like days before the new Delta thing hit, so it was peak normal since COVID there. No masks anywhere. Like, even indoors, because it was quiet. Like, cases were down, like it was, and like as soon as we went back home, they started putting things back into place. So it was really, people were clubbing, people were doing it. I mean, we didn't, but like the energy felt like people were getting happy again, and even this trip.
And I'm not somebody that like being safe doesn't hinder my vacation fun.
Of course.
Like I have no problem putting a mask on to go inside. Like I have no problem. I don't like people anyway, so like I was fine keeping my distance.
Please.
From
stay away forever.
Everyone to
Thank
begin
you.
with.
Yeah.
The parks were dead.
Pretty
I
much,
felt comfortable with our family like boundaries. We have we have our limits. One morning we walked into Magic Kingdom and it was just like a club, like a cluster of people. And before we walked up to that cluster of people, Bart and I looked at each other and we were like, yep, mask up, close. We put Harper's mask on, closed her and her stroller, because I was like, she does not need to be a part of any of this. Like, we just need to get through this. And then we did. And I got onto like the town square and I was like, all right, we're good now. We scanned it. They brought the fingerprints back. Why?
I hate that. I don't like it, but whatever. It's fine.
I don't want to touch it. And it also creates such a lot, like, because then people are, what fingerprint did I use yesterday? Like, Bart, I love my husband so much, but this man can never remember what hand he put his biometric fingerprint scan on. And because of his job, he's a contractor, he's just constantly like cutting himself and like, you know, the tools, the
Calluses
chemicals and everything. So his fingerprint isn't the same as it was last Tuesday than it is right now. So I'm like,
it's weird.
Go away, take a picture of his face and move on.
Yeah, seriously. I'd almost rather do that. Just like have my picture come up. Seriously. But yeah, this Florida trip was something extremely, extremely special that we really didn't take, I don't think, a single moment for granted. You know, like we got to spend time with Harper this time because she wasn't here last time, which we love, and Taryn loves her to death. And it felt like the family reunion of your dreams, not the crappy one where it's like the part of your family you don't like.
My kid loved everyone that we spent the week with. Like she, and like, I love that our friends include Harper and everything because she's a tiny human being that
she's a part of the squad. She's a part of this show. Are you kidding me? Like,
right. Like it just feels really special and really important.
Yeah.
I'm sad again.
Which we talked a lot about, but it was an important thing to talk about. That's the thing that is going on in our lives the most is the fallout of not continuing to be on this vacation because we feel an empty hole without the other part of our family here. We really do, because and the one time that you texted me and was like, hey, are you down to hang out tonight? It feels weird saying that because we're like in the same place. We're like making plans for like, where do we go tonight for dinner or whatever, because we were close enough to be able to actually do it. Because we always joke about that when you're up there. They're like, oh, I'll just come over and we'll watch a movie. It'll be fine. But like
I literally got to text Mackie. I got to text you and I got to be like, hey, you guys down to hang out tonight? And then you're like, hell yeah, let's go.
Let's do it. Let's go party. So yeah, we feel your absence, and we are very, very excited for when you can come back, or we can visit you wherever you happen to maybe be.
I don't know.
Mysterious. And also if future vacations where neither one of us are in Florida, also very exciting. You know,
we might be on the ocean.
We might be on the ocean.
In the ocean? On the ocean?
I guess
I don't want to be in the ocean. I would like to be on the ocean.
Yeah. So those are exciting things that maybe if I can ever not be poor, I can afford these goddamn expensive mortgage cruises that you have to sell your belongings to get on. But one day we're going to make it happen.
It's worth it.
We're going to make it happen at some point. So one little final thing. We don't ever do Disney news on this, but I have some juicy goss that I can say, which is unusual. Because right now, currently, it is, 1 p.m. and everyone can see it right now with their own eyes. The Citizen clock is back. They literally put it in last night. And it is gold. It is beautiful. It is absolutely stunning. We're literally just like, oh, shoot. Like, they literally stuck it in the ground because they had taken it away for a while. This is the one that's on Main Street in front of the Emporium on the other side.
Thank you. I had no idea what you were talking about. I'm like dumb over here.
Like a few months, or I guess a month or two ago, they just very mysteriously just removed it and it was gone. And a couple blogs were like, "Oh, the clock is gone," like whatever. And I think one or two of them might have gotten the inside scoop that it was going to get refaced, and it used to be either dark green or black or like that really dark color, and now it is just like shimmering gold and looks like a $1,000,000. And it's something stupid and small that you never really pay attention to, but in light of all of the 50th stuff, I don't know who made the call to just like, hey, let's just make this match the decor of everything. It's random. I don't know if Citizen did it or whatever, but they pulled it, and while we were working last night, we looked over and was like, oh man, this thing looks really good. And it was in, and as of morning today, I'm sure it'll hit by the time this episode comes out, surely people will have caught on to it, but I'm sure somebody contacted a blog and said, hey, look, it's right there, because it's on Main Street right now. It is stunning. It just looks so good. So yeah, if you're into that kind of thing, the Inside Scoop Disney
the
news
50th
stuff,
hype is so real.
It is starting to really pick up now. And I know this is not a Disney podcast, but it's so much of my life, and it's sort of once upon a time is sort of Disney adjacent. But yeah, the hype in this town is starting to really, really pick up because it's so close now. Everybody was getting onto Halloween and Boo Bash and all that stuff, but now that Boo Bash is already kind of mid-cycle and it's kind of petering its way out towards the end of October or towards the end of September, now that we're finally in September, because once it starts, you just get people like it's the same stuff now, like nothing really changes. But now the next big thing to happen really is going to be, man, we have like a few weeks left and we're done and we're in it. You know what I mean? Like it literally premieres 30 or 29 days from right now. So we're almost there, which is exciting. And it's not just Magic Kingdom. It's all 4 parks. It's going to be all across property. Everything is just going to be saturated in this. So it's really, really
For 18
exciting.
months.
Yeah, for 18 months. And it's not all 4 parks at the same time because Animal Kingdom closes, winter hours, and it doesn't get dark quite late enough for it. So it's going to be staggered a little bit, so like things are going to be the entire fall, I think, leading into winter is going to be an exciting time. It's not just going to be, we hit on October 1st and that's it. It's going to really start to like kind of, slowly gain some momentum. Everybody's going to see pumped. the
I'm not even there and I'm really excited. I don't know. Like this is
the enchantment show that we've been working for 2 years on. Everyone's going to get to see finally. The Beacons of Magic project, which is just like what it looks like normally when it's just cycling through looks, is a custom look that we've been working on for
Remy.
Also 2 years. Remy is going to be huge. Harmonious is going to be huge. Everybody who talks shit about those barges is going to have their mouth closed because that thing is going to be so sick when people see it. Space 2020 is soon. That's like in 2 weeks. That's in
my gosh, my little astronaut is going to lose her shit when she finds out that we can eat in space.
Yeah. And that's the first real like Epcot thing that's like really going to take off, in terms of like the new construction things besides Harmonious.
Yeah, because cast previews are going on right now for Remy.
Yep.
And AP previews are starting, I believe, this weekend.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
So then Space 220 is the next thing up on the list, and that's just gonna.
But it's the first.
It's going to feel good because Epcot has been such a construction town for so long. So like to see that finally pay off, even in a tiny bit, like just a restaurant, is going to be so cool.
But but technology wise, it's so new, and and we have, which nobody's really talking about because it's still a ways away, but Star Wars Hotel obviously was already announced, and we got some details are starting to spit out about that, and they're already starting to get, casting is starting to happen and things are moving, you know what I mean? Like, so it's, we're getting to a really good place where things are starting to come to life again, which is what everybody needs, just a little. So if you're one of those brookies out there who visits Disney World or lives here or who plans to visit in the near future and you want to call in and talk about Disney World things, we would love to do that. I don't know if we're gonna have a dedicated segment dedicated to like Disney specific things, but we're just be warned that we're going to probably be talking about this a little bit more in the next couple months, just because there's a lot going on, and I'm for one way or another involved in some of it.
Right.
And it's a part of our lives, and that's what we talk about in this section. But we don't usually do it for a whole hour. But enjoy that, little Mackie and Isla tidbit. Bing. Okay, anyway. We move on to the actual reason why you came here, which is Once Upon a Time. We move into our first segment, which is called the Storybook Daily Mirror. The Storybook Daily Mirror, the segment dedicated to you, the listener. Hey, Mackie. How is this segment dedicated to me? What the heck are you talking about? I will not tell you because there is someone much more qualified to tell you what the Storybook Daily Mirror is all about, and that is Eilish Corsi, ladies and gentlemen. Tell the ladies and gentlemen how they can get into the Storybook Daily Mirror.
Once upon a time,
that's great.
We had a podcast that was about a show called Once Upon a Time. And because our listeners became friends and we all talked so much about Once Upon a Time, we decided, why would you only want to hear me and Mackie talk? That's annoying. So we decided to include you because your voice matters here on Storybook Circus.
Heck yeah.
So when you email us at thesbcpod@gmail.com, or you send us an Instagram DM, thesbcpod, or you call into our phone number, which is
207-536-8512.
Or you text that same number. That number is
207-536-8512.
We will read or play your voicemails on the air.
Sure will. The Storybook Daily Mirror is essentially our newspaper, but instead of you just reading it, you can be an editor. You can be someone who submits an article or not an article, but a voicemail or an email or a note or a DM. Anything that you like, if you want to participate in the show and have your voice be heard, then those are all the ways that you can do it. We do have an entry this week. We have a repeat entry from our dear friend that we made last week, Lucas. So let's listen to...
I'm so sorry.
Did you miss one?
Sorry. Lucas, hi. Can't wait to hear from you. But first, there's another way that you can write into the Daily Mirror.
Oh my God, we forgot the most important one.
My whole laptop, my other laptop just completely decided it needed to restart. So I was like, I don't know why it's doing this. What really? Leave us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts. There's this whole button where you can hit it and you can leave us a 5-star review and you can write nice words about us. And that helps us find other brookies. And we want them over here. We want them to join the party with us. So help us out. Love you so much. We're going to read your 5-star review on the air. So thanks. Carry away, Mackie.
The 5-star review is extremely important, and it's hilarious that we almost forgot it. The 5-star review is how we get seen from people, turns out, like Lucas, who we're about to hear from. That is how people find us. So if you enjoy it and you think that other people will enjoy it and we want to make this party bigger, that 5-star review is huge. And we are very close to a milestone. I think, what is it, 30?
Yep.
So get us to 30. Just throw a couple in there. It doesn't have to be super long, but it really, really does help the show grow. And that's where we're at right now. We have a great core group. We have a lot of people talking. We do also want to get more people in Discord. Lucas actually reached out to me and brought out it was a little bit tricky to see it specifically on Spotify. But, you know, you can obviously use Apple Podcasts. You can use Overcast or Google Podcasts. In Spotify specifically, when you click the episode, you have to expand the episode description. And all of our links are actually underneath, but Spotify truncates it down and makes you hit like a more button. So you have to make sure to hit that button so you can see all the other links. But please, 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 if you're listening on your phone right now, it takes 2 seconds. Just expand that description. Hit the Discord link, download the Discord app, and then it is absolutely 100% free. And then just sign in or sign up if you have never done it before. And then you can talk to the rest of us. There's a whole group of people on there who are talking and partying, and that's a big deal for us. Is the two things is to get more people to find us so that they can also participate and enjoy it, and to get more people talking to each other so that you guys can enjoy each other's perspectives and make it a big, like house party. So the 5-star review and Discord, both big. Help us out. And now we'll hear from Lucas from Michigan, who we heard from last week, who is, as you remember, binging the show, I think up to episode 9, I believe, last time we spoke. So let's see where Lucas is.
Hi, I'm Lucas. I'm calling from Michigan. I've already called once. I'm still working on getting caught up. I'm on like the Dreamy episode, I think. It's my goal to be caught up by not this Friday, so I think it would be the season 2, episode 3 episode for you guys. But the 4th episode is when I want to be caught up.
Very close. Yeah,
so that's my goal. It's hard because I'm doing school, but it's fine. Anyway, I love Once Upon a Time. It is amazing, and I love this podcast. You were talking a while ago about like how you were wondering how people found this podcast. For me and my mom were in the car for like an hour-long drive, and we were bored, and we were listening to the Office Ladies podcast, and my mom was like, I wonder if there's one for Once Upon a Time. So I checked, and this was the first one I found.
A compliment.
And yeah, now I'm obsessed. Also, you mentioned that you're a theater kid and that you bonded with somebody because they said that they are also a theater kid. I am probably one of the biggest theater kids ever. So yeah, I also wanted to say that.
Found another one.
This is just me rambling. Anyway, I love your podcast.
That's all we do.
It's amazing. That's it.
God.
Bye.
Lucas. I love when people end voicemails like that because I'm like, yeah, big same. I have no idea what to say right now.
Oh, it is my favorite because these are real people. They are people who we would be friends with. You know what I mean? Like people who are just like, they're not afraid to be, I don't even want to call this awkward. It's not awkward. This is how we talk. Like this is just normal. Yeah. And it's not you rambling at all. This is just stream. We said in the very, very first episode that the reason why we made these voicemails the way that we did, and that you actually speak to us instead of text us. And anybody who texts or emails, if you want to do it that way, we love that too. But I wanted to make the voicemail available for anybody who literally just wanted to do stream of consciousness. Like, I'm watching the show right now. I'm going to pause it and just call you and tell you what I think right now in all of that passion and everything. Just blurt out whatever's in your head and let's talk about it, because that's kind of how we are processing the show. It's literally, we don't watch the episodes beforehand. We watch them live, and then we literally just explode and blurt out with whatever's in our head. So we love when people are doing the same. This is just like what you're thinking about. This is a fantastic voicemail. Lucas, thank you for sending this in. And look at how the organic discovery happened. It was just like, I wonder if there's a Once Upon a Time one. And this is why those 5-star reviews are so important, particularly on Apple Podcasts, because that kind of feeds the rest of everything else. So, I am truly touched and glad that we are showing up in people's searches. That was really a big deal. Like this, if someone was just like, I want to know if anyone's talking about Once Upon a Time, and we're like, we're here, pick me.
No, it's just so cool.
It's amazing. Oh,
I don't know. It's weird to think about, but thank you.
Yeah, thank you. And we have another addition to the map because you're from Michigan, so that's great.
Thank you for including us. I've talked about this in this episode already, but time is so important to me now with where I'm at in my life. So the fact that people are taking their time to listen to our show,
it's valuable.
So it means so much.
It really does. Even if you're doing other things, even if you're also working or cleaning the house or whatever, or commuting or driving, it's really awesome that you guys care enough about what we say.
And you think that time is well spent with us, that where you keep listening to the episodes.
Keep coming back.
What I mean?
That is, it's still pretty wild. I don't think that's going to stop being wild.
No.
I think we want to stay humble about that point in particular, that it really does mean a huge deal to us. So thank you, Lucas, for the voicemail. Anybody else who wants to call back in, again, the number is 207-536-8512, or you can send a text, as Isla said, and then you can be included in next week's show. And please, if you are binging, tell us that you're binging and tell us where you are in your watch, because things have shifted. Things have dramatically changed, like somewhere halfway through the season.
Right.
And we keep constantly, are adapting and evolving as, the way that we deliver it too. So I always love seeing how people's opinions are in the beginning versus what it is now. So yeah, that is the Storybook Daily Mirror. Spaceship Earth. What?
I tried so hard.
I broke her, guys. I don't know what happened.
I tried so hard to take a boomerang of that sound. One. Every time we wrote it. I think we wrote it 3 times because Harper loves it.
I love that ride. And
every time I missed it. And I was like, this is so embarrassing. Like, I just want to be able to show the brookies that
But you sent so many good brookie things. We were on Instagram. We sent the inspiration for our
trees
loco. Yeah, our trees ended up in Epcot in the background on the wall, and the Storybook Circus, which I can never say right. I never say Storybook now. I have to say Storybook. The Storybook Circus sign where the Dumbo ride is
my
in Magic
photography.
Kingdom. You are an amazing photographer. Don't let anyone
Thank you
ever
so
tell
much.
You that you're not.
I've really been honing in on my photography skills. I'm self-taught, self-made.
Just
amazing. And I'm just out here.
Ladies and gentlemen, let's give it up for photographer Isla. If you see her walking down the street, talking to herself.
I don't mean to brag.
Walking by herself.
I just feel very passionate.
Do not take
about
pity.
My photography.
We are so dumb. I'm over here mutilating Hamilton lyrics, and you're giving an acceptance speech. We're off the rails as usual. Guys, I love us. Okay, show pre-show. Let's talk about the actual show that we're reviewing now. We got an hour.
I don't even remember that we were watching a TV show. It's fine.
Did you remember that we're taping a podcast?
No.
We're not just catching up as friends, even though we saw each other 48 hours ago.
That's fine.
And we talked to each other like 10 minutes before we recorded. Anyway, season 2, episode 6. We're up to we're like I thought we just did the season premiere. We're like cooking through season 2 right now. This is great. I love this. This episode is called Tallahassee, a long awaited. So they heavily packed the middle of this season. We had the crocodile 2 episodes ago. Then we had this huge reveal of the doctor last episode that Dr. Will was Dr. Frankenstein. And now we have Tallahassee, which by the title doesn't mean a lot, but we're going to find out a great deal of stuff that we've been waiting to find out. So the character backstory is Emma. We're going to finally go into Emma's past and find out, which is great because we really haven't done much Actually, we haven't done any of that, really.
We haven't done anything.
We've heard some illusions.
Yeah, the earliest thing we saw was her being thrown into a tree, and then the orphanage where August ditches her for a bus.
But that's not even Emma. That's just a potato and a blanket. Like, that's not her as her personality. You know what I mean?
And then the very next thing we saw was Henry showing up on her doorstep. Anything else? Fair game. No idea what this girl was up to.
A lot in the middle. And right now, we're just going to do the classic thing that Once Upon a Time does. We're just going to go a little bit further back. So, like, just a little before.
Which is a classic Once Upon a Time thing, but where did that start?
Lost.
Totes
Lost. So, yeah.
Which is great because what is this title called?
What? Oh, Tallahassee. Oh, yes. I see what you're doing. Tallahassee was actually referenced in I believe the first or second, I think it was the first episode where Regina lists off a bunch of places that Emma's been, right? And we talked about that in that episode. We're going to see this coming up soon. Well, we're here finally, where Tallahassee is one of the places listed as, her when she was bouncing around the country and Regina did research on her, that she spent some time in Tallahassee, which we mentioned was a Lost reference, which we're going to talk about what that reference is a little bit later. But yeah, really, really good. Nice Edward and Adam Lost connection there. November 4th, 2012. So this is immediately after the Halloween episode from last week.
Isn't that Election Day?
Yes, it is. November 4th. It's written by Christine Boylan and Jane Espenson. We have a new writer.
New name.
Co-writing
with our queen.
Queen Jane. So she looks pretty young too. Supervising producer and writer. So every writer can be a supervising producer on this show. Do we have any supervising producers who don't write, or does the entire writer room have producer credits? That's really weird. I've never seen that. Is that norm? Do we have other people who work in the television industry listening? Can you tell me what the deal is with that?
Isn't that how it is on The Office too?
It's possible. It's very possible.
I don't know.
I never paid too close attention to that, but I don't recall that being super common. But I've also never done a podcast and a TV show before, so maybe
you're the television guy though, so this is your jurisdiction.
Like I said, I haven't seen it before, but it doesn't mean it didn't happen. Directed by David M. Barrett, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. I'm going to double check really quick, but I believe that is the first time we might be seeing his name. Looks like nothing in season 2. Let's see if he has a season 1 appearance. Episodes, season 1. No. Oh, The Heart is a Lonely Hunter, looks like.
Oh.
And that is...
There's a lot of Davids. I can't keep track.
I know. David Dean. David Solomon. So it looks like David and Barrett. Yeah, Heart is a Lonely Hunter. That's the only one. And I'm making sure that while I'm here, I don't put my foot in my mouth and make sure that this Christine character is not a writer that we've had before. No, we have not.
No, that name sounds brand new.
Like brand new. Yeah, Christine Boylan. So David M. Barrett would have done the Graham exiting episode, right?
What a life touch headshot.
I know. I have links in my notes, y'all, for those who can't see.
Oh, yeah.
So every time I click on a link from the wiki, it actually pulls up a little like mini page and his headshot comes up and it's like the gray and black background.
It was done at JCPenney.
Oh, yeah. It's just a Macy's glamour shot. 9.85 million people was last week. This week's Tallahassee, episode 6, 10.15 million this episode. Very exciting to see those numbers get back up to where they belong. Well, where I think they deserve at least. So we're
which would make sense because when we watched the preview for this week's episode, it was good.
Oh,
where they were like, we see somebody from the past, and Emma is so mysterious. So I think
mysterious.
Even people who are like half watching it were like, I want to know what's up with this girl.
Yeah. So here's how they write out the synopsis. With the hopes of finding a magical compass that could help her and Mary Margaret get back to Storybook, Emma takes a journey with a not too trustworthy Captain Hook up a treacherous beanstalk in an attempt to steal the item from the murderous giant. Meanwhile, Emma's past is revealed to be anything but magical when she meets up with a fellow thief who wants to make an honest woman out of her. It's a pretty good synopsis. It feels. I'm like I want to know more. It feels good. I feel like we can dive in there a little bit. So now, yes, please continue your thought.
Oh, I just said I agree.
Oh, you agree?
Sorry.
Discord just like chopped it up a little bit. So I was like, oh my god, no, I didn't mean to interrupt you. This is the problem with not doing the podcast actually live in person. Maybe one day in the future we'll be able to.
But what if we did?
Oh man, it would be so fun. So now, without further ado, we can talk about our production notes. Production notes is when we talk about our behind the scenes features and observations. Sometimes we have some other fun details and things in there as well. And these are just things to look out for while we watch the show. Or if you've already watched the show, then you can hear us react to it when we find it in the show. So yeah. Let's get going. We'll just, I didn't do what I said I was going to do and split these up. So we're just going to wing it and we're going to see what happens.
Well, guess what? We show up and the title card features a growing beanstalk.
Beanstalk, because the last episode, that was the last thing that we saw was like, they were like, no, this big beanstalk, what do we do? What's next? Let's see, this press release. I don't even know what this, oh, I love this one. Okay, I remember what this is. This character, he doesn't mean anything to us now because we're introduced to a character from Emma's past, right? This fellow thief who wants to make an honest woman out of her. It's Michael Raymond James. We'll talk about his credits in a future episode because we're gonna skip it for now. But he's mistakenly credited. His name is Neal. He's mistakenly credited as Neal Cassidy, spelled Cassady, when his actual name is actually Cassidy, the character. What's funny is no one could really pinpoint how much of a mistake that was, because a real life person named Neal Cassidy with the A was this like famous thief from the 60s who went to jail for 11 months for theft, for possession of stolen goods. So like, was that like a tip of the hat? Was it an honest mistake that was just super coincidental? Like I looked it up.
Or was it whoever, which this is what I do, so I'm just going to pretend like people do the same stupid things that I do, but whoever was in charge of typing up this press release was typing it up, said like, oh, Neal Cassidy, blah, 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 and then somebody was talking to them at the same time and said Neal Cassidy was the infamous thief who served all of it. Oh, yeah, so they just typed it like that. Like when you hear something and then you type it?
A subconscious slip, yeah.
I do that when I'm trying to send a text message and like Bart's trying to tell me something at the same time, and I'm trying to respond to him, and I'll just write what he's saying. And
literally.
I'm like,
oops.
Delete on that.
What else is here? Hi. You good?
Yes.
You're fine. Do what you gotta do. It's okay.
Confirming a meeting I have to go to.
I will.
Observations. This is one of the 6 episodes not to feature Regina Mills, and the only one to not mention her at all.
The only episode.
That's a big deal.
Not at all. Yeah, she's in credit. And actually, there's like 5 or 6 people that are credit only. But it's interesting that this is the only one that didn't even reference her. But it's the only one.
Right.
I thought there would be more, you know? You would think that there were some episodes just don't have to do with her, but, apparently this is the only one. I love little facts like that we would never know unless someone actually did the work to.
Yeah, like, One Tree Hill, I think Sophia Bush only missed like 1 episode. The entire.
Wow. It's really impressive, actually.
Yeah.
You can do the next one too, because I gotta do some weird stuff to the other ones.
During the filming of the Beanstalk scene, Colin O'Donoghue accidentally hit Jennifer Morrison's stunt double in the head with his medal.
That's hilarious to me. That's funniest.
So funny.
It's awful. It's horrible. But like, it wasn't even Jennifer Morrison. It was. We talked about stunt doubles last week, right? They
have stunt doubles.
They don't get that. But I'm not kidding. That's exactly why they do. Because if he hit her and she wasn't really hurt, but then she had a bruise or she had whatever, that can stop taping. You know what I mean?
Mess up all taping.
They're just not. It's not worth it. So they pay an entire person who dedicates their entire life to being pummeled and thrown across rooms, and they also know how to do it right and whatever. But like the fact that he accidentally hit someone with a hook, just like doofy. It's like, oh, sorry. Also, it looked like that hook is like a serious thing. Like it's not just like a little 3D printed.
Yeah,
like,
no,
it's
that
like
looks heavy.
Like a legit metal hook. Yeah. So we have 2 things. Actually, if you can go check these off, if you can. You're not in it? Are you in it? You are in it. Of course you're in it. You're reading. Because we're gonna skip a little bit. So we have 2 things of cut content. in this episode. It's some script stuff. We're just going to kind of bust through it really quick because maybe it means something to someone. We haven't seen the episode yet, but it didn't actually make it to the final episode. But some of these deleted things gives a little bit more context to it that they just don't have time to get through, but it will help us appreciate the scenes more. So there's some stuff between Hook and Emma, right? So in the episode script, Hook says to Emma, but an orphan's an orphan. They start getting, again, because we're getting into Emma's backstory as they're climbing the beanstalk. So she replies, just keep climbing. So this is not in the final episode. In the script, Hook ends up saying, love has been all too rare in your life, hasn't it? Yes, it has. Tell me, Emma Swan, have you ever been in love? In the actual episode, the line gets shortened to, love has been all too rare in your life, hasn't it? Have you ever been in love? Or you ever been in love? And that was it. So they're starting to develop a little bit of tension between the two of them, right? And they just kind of whizzed by it, which I think removes a little bit of that. We need some of that juicy kind of subtext a little bit.
And it seems so small, but I hate that they cut out the part where he says her full name, because I think that that's such a
Emma
big
Swan.
deal to build those chemistry things. You always see that in TV shows and movies where they always refer to them by full name, and that means something.
Absolutely. And the way that, and we're going to talk about this later on, but the way that Captain Hook's gravitas is, their words have a lot to do with that, and the way that his charm works means that he needs to be a little bit more cunning about how he phrases things. So that would be purposeful for Captain Hook specifically. In the episode script, Emma asks him if he will shut up if she answers, and then he replies, for a spell. And before she answers his question, he says, I'll take it. And none of that stuff is in there. So all that tit for tat banter thing is just kind of like whizzed by. There's also another scene between the two of them. It says, much to Emma's dismay, Hook continues to keep the conversation going, but Emma asks him to save his charm as it's not going to work. She reaches for a nearby handhold, but Hook says it's not stable and suggests another one. She ignores his advice, of course, because she's Emma, and reaches for the handhold anyway, and it breaks, and she starts to fall. She goes onto a vine. This is a whole action sequence, right? And it cuts her hand, and it says, that this is the reason for there being a cut on her hand later in the episode. I actually want to see, for continuity purposes, if there's an unexplained cut that they taped and then left on there but didn't explain why. So that would be kind of cool to look out. He holds her until it snaps and Emma falls. Suddenly the plummeting stops and she's dangling from Hook's hook in the back of her jacket collar. So he hooked on the back of her jacket collar and saved her. Hook pulls her up to safety and asks if she's hurt. Emma ignores the cut on her hand and claims that she's fine. Hook points out that the giant will be even more dangerous than this climb and says they can either work together in order to survive or she can continue to doubt him. He once again points out which handhold is the safest one off, and this time she listens to him and follows the lead. So even that entire action sequence, exciting. Also the fact that he saved her, the way in which he would go about doing that, the way that he would use that opportunity to make another dig at her is a very Hook thing too. And that's a very flirty thing too, right? You're not just being like, you're dumb, why don't you listen to me, and start fighting. They turned it into a little chemistry thing. And then the fact that he gets to reiterate, I was right the whole time, and she has to back off. That's the stuff we got with The Stranger. Is this back and forth of her trying to fight and then not winning, and he wins sometimes. That's what we need out of a flirtatious relationship. And I don't know why it was cut, but that could
I just hope this isn't going to be like skin deep.
Me too.
Me too. Because sometimes I feel like Once Upon a Time is building a sandwich, and they keep on seeing that you can't fit the whole sandwich in one bite because it's too big. So they instead of taking out like a piece of lettuce, they're like, let's just take out a piece of the turkey. And then you're like, okay, but you're missing something with all of this cut content. The Hook Emma chemistry is getting diluted because they keep on taking out these little things that end up being big things. Yeah. And the thing is, they're not big things yet. And at the time that they wrote it and the time that they cut it, it may not have been a big thing, Yeah. We're talking with knowledge of the future. Right. Where when they did it, sometimes they just have to cut stuff for the sake of the episode because they'll have an opportunity to do that later. And then the way it happens later is not quite the same as now. So this is a hindsight is 2020 thing, where we wish we had it. Now, I don't know if, because the one that's on Disney Plus is not the one that aired on TV, occasionally they will interject some stuff that was old that didn't make it every once in a while. This is just true for streaming in general. They have an opportunity to kind of re-throw stuff in there. So sometimes some stuff that was originally cut in the first airing, like the first airing of something on TV is really the only way that it airs like that.
absolutely for sure with live stuff. But sometimes even with this, when you repackage it to like, you know, a global distribution or when it goes into reruns or something, sometimes it gets repackaged, and that's
This
just
film
the
has
new
been
version.
modified from its original version.
Precisely. So sometimes you get some, and it's always good stuff. It's always extra stuff because no one cares about the total running time. Like there's no commercials on Disney Plus. There's no, you know, there's like things that they don't have to dodge. So if it's like a minute over, you're not going to get fined from the broadcast department because because the streaming belongs to them. So every once in a while, sometimes they sneak it in. So I'm actually curious, is now that we know all that stuff, is all that truly cut? You know what I mean? From this episode, because maybe not all of it, maybe some of it is cut, but not, you know, like, or how did they, when they cut it, was it completely lifted, or did they kind of massage the scene into something similar to this but not the same? Like, we'll look out for As They're Climbing the Beanstalk to see if we can detect that. But do continue.
And then Colin O'Donoghue came up with the idea of Hook tying Emma's bandage with his mouth, but didn't tell Jennifer Morrison what he was going to do. So her reaction to the scene is genuine. That's like some David, Mary, Margaret shit going down right now.
When characters or actors come up with things for their character, it feels like live theater, which is different than television.
I could never act professionally because it would not be good. I would just fall in love with everyone. I don't even understand.
Which, I mean, look at the theater industry. People get married over stuff like that. Like, it happens.
I know.
Like, it literally
anything.
happens.
Like, look at Mary Margaret and look at Guinea Good and Josh Dallas.
Yeah, I mean, in a beautiful way, but sometimes it's not so beautiful. Sometimes it like breaks up
sometimes
household.
it's not. Like,
you know,
Chad Michael Murray and Sophia Bush were like married for 9 months or some shit, or engaged for 9 months or some shit on One Tree Hill, and I'm like, you guys are playing 17-year-olds. There's no way this is going to end well. And guess what? It didn't.
It didn't.
So...
Yeah. But in the case of like Guinea Good and Josh Dallas, like they're still kicking it, and like, you know, it's
like babies. I'm like, oh my god, just living a normal life.
That's not even like tension. They were always supposed to be together on the show. It was like a sweet, like, romantic thing, right? But like this thing, you know, the way that some of these other relationships are, they're sexually aggressive. They're not just romance and sweet. Right. It's like, you know, it's the type of primal attraction between people that can get out of hand real quick and real easily. And I know some people because they've already have in the Discord are going to talk about who they are, like their actual people, like, because apparently I'm completely made up that these two characters ever dated in real life.
No, Colin O'Donoghue apparently has a wife, and like he loves her so much.
And they're fine.
Yeah.
And he's a professional actor, so he gets paid to make this look good. But, you know, in my head,
but it feels very real.
Reality TV. I mean, that's just a testament to how good he is.
We got Bridgerton. I can't believe they're not real.
Forget Bridgerton.
Like, come
There's
on.
no way. And that's a perfect example of the aggression I'm talking about. You know, it's very like, it
how do
comes
you
out
do
of
that
anger
show
sometimes.
And not fall in love with the Duke, like, or the Duchess? Like, how do you not just like give up your entire life for whoever that person is?
I really hate myself for this, but that's how I feel about the P.S. I Love You movies.
Same though.
Okay, good.
And the kissing booth. It's like so embarrassing. Booth. I don't care.
I am a teenage girl. Actually, my voice is really deep.
Jenny Han was my favorite author when I was in middle school and high school. I love her so much. So I don't care. I don't get the P.S. I Love You movies are cinematic masterpieces.
Thank you.
And no one can tell me.
Thank you. I don't care. You can talk all the shit you want. I'm dying on this hill.
I'm over here on the hill.
I'm with you. I'm with you. We are planting our flag in because I watched.
We love Laura Jean. We love Peter.
We also love Jordan Fisher, but that's beside the point. Even though we're not team. What the hell's his name? John
Ambrose.
John Ambrose.
Is it? Yeah.
Yeah. We're not team John. Obviously, we're team Peter because. Right? We haven't even talked about this. I don't even. Okay, good.
I'm like, oh my god, yes.
I just assume we're twins on this. I just want to make sure that we're. Sometimes we.
It's like you're Team Edward. You have to be Team Edward.
Yeah,
you can't
obviously.
Be Gaslighter, Team Jacob.
No, of course. Oh my god,
I'm so excited.
Team
Jacob.
So excited to watch Twilight. Okay, we got two hidden details. We have Neal and Emma are staying at some motel. It's called the Red Lantern Lodge. I really want to know why that's significant. They didn't say.
Yeah.
I don't get it. Okay, whatever. Hook's tattoo shows the Dark One dagger going through a heart. I want to find that tattoo.
That is like some like daddy issue. That's a daddy issue tattoo.
I love it.
You can't even tell me that his hate for Rumpelstiltskin is normal.
Time out. You're telling me that the stupid, doofy, proper HMS Pinafore Englishman, Captain Hook from the cartoon, that the Dark One dagger going through a heart does not make this hook sexier? Because I think that's great.
I know, but it just feels like such like internal trauma. Like I hate this guy so much, I'm gonna get a tattoo.
It makes me feed into the mystery of like, what is this? Is this hook like an emo? Like, you know, and you can tell the way he looks. I love it.
He's so broken.
Oh, I love it.
This is my ideal human being. Are you kidding me? Like, I married a Captain Hook. Like, this is it.
Pretty much did, yeah. This one's made for you, so go for it.
Oh my God. According to Edward Kitsis, they had wanted Jorge Garcia, whom they worked with on Lost, to play the giant scene in season 1, but they never got the opportunity to get the Beanstalk story in the first season. They saved it for season 2 instead.
So they were on board with this from the beginning. They were. He's just
great.
Like,
I feel like he must be great in real life too.
Oh, I'm sure. He's just a teddy
bear.
Like
I feel like he is Hurley in real life.
Yeah. For those of you who don't know, Jorge Garcia plays Hurley, Hugo Reyes on Lost, who infamously won a lottery and was like a millionaire and super rich and ended up on the Lost Island. And he's just like a big giant teddy bear who loves everyone and tries to care for everyone. And this is great.
He's the best.
So yeah,
arguably the best character on the entire series because I just loved him so much.
Arguably the most important character in the entire series too, but we'll get into that on Patreon.
Whatever.
So the fact that they already worked with him and they were like, yes, we have a role for you. We want, you know, and it's not just they wanted a giant and a Beanstalk story to be in there. They were like, we want Hurley, and they just couldn't fit it in, which I don't think it would have made any sense in season 1 either. You know, even backstory wise, like this is the right spot for it. But I'm so glad that they were like so pumped about it and like patiently waited to get it in at the right time. Let's see. When Hook calls is taunting the giant. That's probably a typo. He says, "You big git." This is so dumb. I hate this one. It says the word git is British for a stupid or unpleasant person. According to Edward Kitsis, they wanted to use a phrase that was distinctly British since Hook's character is of British origin. This is
I'm sorry. Did they think that we wouldn't know that from the accent?
I mean, every iteration of Captain Hook is British. And I know that they made Belle Australian and whatever, but like this is not any different. It says to make sure that we're using the word correctly, they emailed. Oh my God. Hold on a second. They emailed not a British person. They emailed Josh Dallas, from America? Who happened to have spent, and I quote, a long time doing theater in London.
Okay. I want to jump off a cliff reading this. Gives me the vibes of white American girl that studies abroad for 1 semester. That's what that was.
Yeah, literally. Can you tell me how the culture is in Paris?
I went to Italy, like I had gelato. It's like ice cream, but it's not.
But it's not ice cream.
You wouldn't get it. You had to, if you know, you know. You had to be there. Like that entire fact was white American studying abroad. That's what that is giving me right now.
Hilarious.
Josh Dallas. I'm sorry, his name is Josh Dallas. You're telling me that the guy that won the golden ticket in Texas to go to the Willy Wonka factory is the guy that's giving you advice on using a word from British origin.
Also, this guy who's like from the UK, and Robert Carlyle, who's also from the UK, you couldn't get these two to have, I don't know, a single British friend who you could just be like, hey, Robert Carlyle, who's from Scotland, do British people say git? Like, I think that's a closer connection than Josh Dallas, who spent some time at the Globe Theater. Like,
also, they emailed him.
I know, it was so specific. This wiki feels like a joke. It feels like
JDallas@gmail.com. Just looking to see if you could send over your best British phrases. Good day.
Super weird. I don't understand. In it, yeah.
Once you get back from the loo at your flat, if you could just send us over some tips.
Alicia's gonna love this part. Alicia, please tell me if
why didn't they call Alicia?
Tell me, right? They should have called you. Tell me if you share our frustration with this particular point. This seems weird. I don't know. Okay, yes, I know that Colin O'Donoghue is from Ireland, and that is not Great Britain, and I know that Scotland is also not Great Britain.
I'm sure he has a better connection than Josh Dallas.
I'm
who
just
studied
saying,
abroad,
as part of the
eating
UK,
cappuccinos and
right.
croissants. Like, get out of my face right now.
Let me tell you
so
something.
Stupid.
I am from America, and I am from the East Coast. I also know something about California culture, even though I don't live there. So I don't believe that someone from Scotland or Ireland wouldn't know more about. That would be like, I'm American, I know about California, but someone in someone doing something about California would go grab some random, like person from France who spent, one college semester at NYU and be like, what did you learn from America? How do Californians speak? That's the equivalent
This
of
would
that.
be like
That's
if
weird.
somebody knew both of us. Like if a brookie came to us and was like, hey, Isla, where's your favorite place to eat in New York City? And I answered.
Right. Yeah, exactly. It feels weird. Because
I would be like, oh, the Hard Rock Cafe in Times Square. And you would give me an actual location that's not the Rainforest Cafe in Walt Disney World. Like,
right. It is definitely strange. I mean, it's fine. It's whatever. But also, I don't think this is like a way out there slang word that no American knows. I think git is pretty commonly used in language. Like, I knew that. I didn't have to email Josh Dallas to know that git was a stupid person. Right? Like, there is definitely some crazy slang. Like, I think that the whole chips thing is probably more confusing than if you walked up to someone and said, hey, a British person called you a git, and they don't know nothing about anything. What would that mean? Versus like, hey, someone wants you to eat chips. What do you mean? They're like, a bag of Lay's. Like, no, you're dumb. You know what I'm saying? Like,
right.
So I don't know. It just, this whole thing seemed off and weird. I was just like, I don't think, why did you need to do research for the word git? It just seemed, also from context, I think you can figure out that it seemed like a silly thing to have to research. But whatever.
We're going to die on this hill too. That was dumb.
Yeah.
Emma's line to Hook, let's go steal a compass, is a shout out to this TV series Leverage, where Christine Boylan was a writer for. The line "Let's go steal" is used many times throughout the drama
Just
series.
about every single episode, they have an intro where they show some person who's suffering. And for those of you who don't know, Leverage is a TV show from TNT. It's one of my favorite TV shows of all time. This is the one I keep referencing when I say that I have closure issues when I finish a show, and the last episode of this show was called The Goodbye Job, and I still haven't watched it, even though the show was aired like 17 years ago. I still haven't watched the last one because I can't deal with it ending because I'm a loser. This show is about a bunch of thieves who come together and form some basically a consulting firm, right, to work for the good guy. So like some normal person is being, blasted by like an insurance company or some big corporate company, and they're being screwed over. And so these criminals go steal something or stick it to a rich guy to like, it's a big group Robin Hood thing, right? So it's a bunch of criminals like helping good people.
Yeah.
So at the beginning, it's like a person who's down on their luck, or you find out what's wrong, right? And then they come to one of the people on the team to go, you have to help me. And then so they have to figure out, okay, well, is this even feasible? Can we do it? We'll take your case. They figure out how they're going to do it. And right before the credits, the lead guy will go, all right, let's go steal the Mona Lisa. Or they're like, whatever it is, he'll just be like, let's go steal blah, 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 blah. And then they'll go into the opening title sequence. And it's so like energetic, and you don't even care about what it is, but you're like, yeah, I want to see them steal it. This is exciting.
Oh my gosh.
So like the fact that it's this let's go steal a compass thing, I'm like so excited to see how it plays out, if it actually plays out like it does in Leverage. Because they literally also have a single shot that they like zoom in on his face. And then he's always like he's like chewing on a pen cap or something. He's like contemplating, or he's having a drink. It's very like cool, like James Bondy.
Yeah.
So I really like that one a lot. Let's see. During the shooting of the scene, Emma bites the giant's finger. Spoilers. It was filmed with a green screen stage, while Jennifer Morrison had to bite an inflated inner tube for the whole day on set doing that scene. Oh, sorry. From the whole day of doing that set on scene, her lips became bruised. Man, the life of an actor. That's horrible.
Wow. Tough day.
A little dark.
Yeah.
He bites his finger off.
We have a couple references. Hook says that time is running out. In other words, TikTok. Oh my gosh. All right.
Yeah,
in reference to Peter Pan, where the crocodile is always accompanied by the tick-tock sound of a clock it's swallowed.
We make a few TikTok references, I think. I think Rumple has a TikTok one in the last episode. Or sorry, the crocodile. It says TikTok
Hook
great.
also refers to the giant's behavior as very bad form, another reference to the novel where good form is important to Captain Hook. That phrase and its counterpart, bad form, is used several times in the novel. Oh, okay.
So that's what I was talking about earlier is like this whole good form, bad form thing. Captain Hook has like a set of rules he has to go by, and it was like gentleman's dueling, right? So you had to, and he did cheat, but it was the whole thing was that he had a reputation to protect, right? That he wasn't a scoundrel. He was an upperclassman criminal. Like he wasn't dirty, and he always, even though he cheated all the time, but that good form, bad form thing was really, really big in the Hook live action with Dustin Hoffman. That became a really big thing about fighting Peter in the state of him being an accountant or whatever was bad form, and he had to show he couldn't be a bad example to his crewmen. So he had to get Peter back to his Peter Pan state so that it could be a quote unquote fair fight that he could then cheat in. That was like a big thing in the plot. So I like that they added that in there too. But that all of those things apparently came from the novel, which is kind of interesting.
I know. Interesting.
One of those last references also really cool is the poppy dust, which they use to knock the giant out, and that's a reference to the poppy field in Wonderful Wizard of Oz, which is funny because in the Wizard of Oz there is a whole scene cut from the movie that we are familiar with talking about the poppy fields and how they get into it and falling asleep and all that stuff. There's a whole musical number that's in the soundtrack that's not in the movie. That's very, very cool. So go look that up too. But yeah, the poppy field dust sleeping is a Wizard of Oz thing.
And then some pop culture.
Yeah.
Neal says to Emma, maybe it's time you retire the Bonnie and Clyde Act. Bonnie and Clyde were famous outlaws and robbers who traveled central United States with their gang during the Great Depression. Their effect on pulp culture would last for decades beyond their demise, which, yeah.
Do you think this was like a freshman in college, like English major, who was writing this wiki, who's just like,
I don't even know if I would give you college level on that.
But if you want to know what the Bonnie and Clyde reference is, this is the reference. I'm like, oh, okay.
Look up the song by Jay-Z and Beyonce, and there you go.
Part two.
You want to talk about pop culture?
Right? There would be like, Neal is referencing the famous Jay-Z hip-hop song from 2003.
That's how I would write this.
Of course, yeah. Let's rewrite the wiki. Some hidden details here that don't matter at all. The giant statues to the entrance to Anton's castle. Anton is the giant. They look like terracotta warriors. And this is how this wiki's written. I gotta know.
This is yours to read because I'm not doing it.
The terracotta warriors. The definition of the terracotta warriors. The terracotta. This is what this needs. Terracotta sculptures depicting the armies of Qin Shi Huang, who was the first emperor of China. Like, you didn't need to end. Like, I know what the terracotta warriors
We're good.
are.
Thank
you.
I
got it. But anyway, the giant statues are supposed to be a nod to that. I don't think that's really a hidden detail. They're giant, but whatever. Some more. Oh, we're getting here. We're almost there. Set notes. Take it away.
I am so stupid. I'm reading these notes here, and I thought it said C notes, and I'm like, I don't know which notes you're referring to.
No,
several
set notes. Yeah.
Several versions of the beanstalk were used on set. For climbing, a real set piece was created. For on-screen purposes, the leafy flourishes were made by the art department and enhanced by the CGI to give the appearance of a long, spiraling stalk extending to the sky.
Which is pretty typical of most shoots. They'll do a soundstage and they'll build the part that the actor has to physically touch, and then the rest of it doesn't matter. So they just build that in the computer. There's a whole person's job that does set extensions, right? So the only pieces you actually physically have to build are the things that are right within touching distance or standing distance of the actors themselves. And everything beyond that, you can just fill in with blue screen and green screen. So shout out to the art department for the extra work that they do that nobody ever cares about because it's not important, but it fills in the rest of the picture, or else you have all tight shots and you can't have that. You need some context.
Right.
So the art department spends, days and weeks like building those things and these ultra details that no one ever pays attention to. So shout out to you guys that don't listen to this podcast. You can take this one too.
Hidden details. There is a sailing ship pictured on the American map that Neal shows to Emma, and it is a reference to Captain Hook. Knowing what I know, that's an interesting
right.
handoff.
I kind of love that.
Yeah, I do too. That's interesting.
And that is a hidden detail. That's really a lot more.
Yeah, that's deep in there.
I really like that a lot. So this next one is a pause and read. The pause and read is the wanted sign for Neal, who is the fellow thief, right? He's wanted for grand larceny. So somebody paused it and actually wrote down all the things that were in it. It has his name, Cassidy. So the thing that messed his name up was the press release that introduced the new character that they give out to like news stations and whoever is going to talk about it in commercials was the thing that was misspelled. So in the actual show, this is the confirmation that we get that the spelling is not Cassady, which also they might have not made this, like might have made the press release and not made this prop yet, so no one decided what his last name spelling was and someone just did it. You know what I mean? Like they got it out to the press before this was made. But now this is what's canon. Date of birth, March 23rd. Oh my God, a day before my birthday. 1977. Place of birth, New Jersey. Hair black, eyes brown, sex male, race Caucasian, nationality American. Height is 5'9". Also my height. Weight is 170 pounds. Am I Neal Cassidy?
Are you a Neal Cassidy?
I think I might actually be Neal Cassidy. He's born in New Jersey, which is close enough. He's a little bit older
we
than
can
me.
just totally avoid the white Caucasian part, and you
the
could
10
be
years
Neal,
older than me.
Neal Cassidy. Yeah.
Occupation, janitor. Scars and marks. Neal Cassidy has a scar on his left arm from a knife wound. Remarks, Neal Cassidy may be in possession of stolen firearms. So the grand larceny is the thing that he is in possession of. The stolen item is guns, according to them. The date listed in the corner says November. The day is unclear on screen, but according to a prop listed on eBay, it says November 15th. That's cool. Yeah, so that's the wanted poster, which I know, boring. It's just a bunch of random stuff, except the fact that all of these things are me. That's kind of weird, but this Neal Cassidy has a scar on his left arm from a knife wound. I'm telling you right now, I don't remember if that connects to anything, but I feel like it should.
Feels like it's important.
It feels like that's the kind of thing they would like explain later and just shoved in this prop. You know what I mean? So that's what writers tend to do. I don't know for sure, but we'll find out from that. Oh my God, it's our favorite
my
segment.
Favorite part of production now.
Are you ready?
We get into
info. Okay, here we go. Take it away.
Most of young Emma's wardrobe comes from Jennifer Morrison's own closet.
I love that.
And when young Emma steals the car, she's wearing a BCBG Maxarisa leather jacket over a kick flip dress.
Very
Unfortunately,
stylish.
No longer available.
Oh, so sad. We have some secondhand clothing we'd like to point out. Young Emma's floral dress happens to be the same one that Mary Margaret is wearing for her date with Dr. Whale in Snow Falls. That's hilarious.
It's terrible.
Last but not least, when young Emma is arrested, she is wearing a Jack by BB Dakota hanging tuft jacket, which sadly is also no longer available. Ladies and gentlemen, this has been
this week's Brand
Info. I really love that section. I will never stop loving that section. It's my favorite. There's production notes. We did it. The last segment before we actually get into watching the show is one of my favorite segments we haven't gotten a chance to do very much because they haven't had it.
Been MIA for 2 weeks.
Yeah. Our segment that is dedicated to all of the Easter eggs that go into this show. Adam and Edward were both executive producers on the show Lost, and so all of the Lost Easter eggs we call out in a segment called What's in the Hatch? So, excuse me. Anytime you hear that noise, that will be us calling out if we remember and if we see it. The Lost references in each episode. This one has 5, it looks like. So the first one, obviously, the episode marks the debut of Jorge Garcia, who plays Anton the Giant in this show. In Lost, he plays Hugo Hurley Reyes, which we talked about before. Neal and Emma meet up in Portland. So Portland is a location that's referenced on Lost quite a bit. It's there's an episode called Not in Portland. That's just one of the like kind of milestone or the important locations in the Lost world. Of course, in that convenience store when they're in Portland, convenience stores sell goods. We obviously know where this is going. They have to sell some Apollo bars because that's an easy hit, right? Kids love chocolate. Convenience stores love to sell chocolate. Let's just wrap these Apollo bars up. Neal and Emma.
The easiest thing they could think of.
I feel like Apollo bars and the numbers are like the two most common things.
Yeah.
Just throw in there. Neal and Emma, they say that they plan to start a new life together in Tallahassee. That's the reference to this this episode title, right? So the Tallahassee, the location of Tallahassee is another place just like Portland that's referred to on Lost several times. It's actually in reference to an episode called The Man from Tallahassee. That's what we talked about before, we discussed in the first episode. The Man from Tallahassee is a really important episode, and the location kind of, there's just kind of insinuated there's some supernatural influence around, like not everybody, but several people's storylines converging in Tallahassee. And the Man from Tallahassee is actually referring to like a spoiler thing of somebody's dad so there's a lot of like reveals in that. So this was a nice little tip of the hat that the place that they decided to start the new life together happened to be in this, crossroad location in Lost. And then the last one is, according to his wanted poster we just talked about, Neal was born on March 23rd, 1977. Well, the 23 in March 23rd is going to be one of the lost numbers. And then you also have 1977, which is an important year in the lost timeline. Like that's a lot of the Dharma Initiative stuff. And, it gets into some backstory plot information is that, in the 70s and 77 in particular. So nothing, it's actually not a lot of like things to notate unless we see the one poster, like if it's in the background or something, but like Apollo bars, sure. But just like a reference to Tallahassee isn't like super obvious. You know what I mean? We're not going to be hitting the hatch button every single time someone says the word Tallahassee. I think would be a little much. But yeah, that's what's in the hatch. So now we can start the episode watch party.
We can watch the show.
Actually watch the show like 2 hours in, which is awesome. This might be one of our longer intros. It's because we had life stuff to talk about in the beginning. It was important.
We had a lot going on.
We had to update you on like real life outside of podcasts and TV. So we have some features of our watch party that we'd like to point out. One of them is our drinking game. That is a drinking game bell. In case you hear that during the show, then you can feel free to take a drink of your favorite beverage. Alcoholic if necessary, non-alcoholic if you so choose. Or
I have water today.
You can use a Cheez-It or a Dorito or something. Just do something fun with food when you hear the bell. We have various changing rules for drinking game stuff, using magic, certain quotes that people say, but we kind of make them up as we go. We do have kind of an idea of what they would be, but we forget a lot of them. So whatever. When you hear the bell, have a drink. But when you hear this sound, that is a drink clink, little toast, kind of knock your bottles together, right? So that is just a nod to our production notes section or anything that we've talked about before, just a little awareness, right? Something that we've already talked about. This sound is fun. This one is the sound of the show playing and pausing. It's just a little audio cue so that you know that we're starting and stopping the playback. In case you happen to be watching it with us, or if you're not, just so that I was listening back to some of our episodes and the play pause sound is actually so important while we're cackling and roaring over the really sound effects, right? So when you actually can hear it cut through really cleanly to us talking, so it's easier to tell like when there's chaos going on that we're like taking a breath. So it's actually kind of nice that when I was listening back to it, because I sometimes listen just for quality and just making sure that it's what I meant for it to sound like. And I was like, oh, I'm actually glad, even if you're not watching the episode with it, it's just good to get like a little cue marker to be like, because so much of the show is visual and it's so silent. It's like just sound effects and ambient noise that over a podcast, you can't really tell like what the hell's going on. And to that point, we try as hard as we can to audio narrate what you're seeing in case because we switch back and forth between flashbacks and Enchanted Forest and locations and whatever. But that's really mostly all it is, except for one other thing. Aside from our various sound effects, we have our familiar voice.
It's a familiar voice.
You're probably gonna see if you can recognize how familiar this voice is. You're gonna be like, it's on the tip of my tongue. I just can't put my finger on it.
Yeah, it's rewind time.
If you guessed William Smith Fresh Prince of Bel-Air.
Oh, that is weird. I've never heard him be called William.
I don't even know his name. His name could be like Wilfred or something.
Yeah.
I don't even know if it's William.
It's actually just Will.
It's just Will. Will Smith will indicate to us that it is rewind time so that we can go back and look at something a little closer, or more likely, we can go back and listen to something that we've talked over, because that's pretty much going to be all the show for the rest of this one. And so this is what you're listening for. There's a big drink moment. You will hear it, a roar of sound effects when this one happens. It's the reference to the title of the episode. This one is not that exciting because it's literally just the name of a city. Someone says, okay, then Tallahassee it is. And then the other person goes, Tallahassee it is. And then we
wonder who that could be.
Yeah, we do one of those and then you drink. That's your chug. So now we get the prestigious honor of getting to introduce probably the, I don't know, second or third most maybe important episode of the season, or reveal, or not reveal, but like, forwarding of the plot. We have season 2 episode, was it 6? Tallahassee. Let's give it a go.